colleagues, we've reached 9 o'clock, so we're going to start the meeting on time. Let me first welcome all of the members, all of the staff members, as well as the ministry and the department. Let me just ask our procedural officers, have we received any apologies from anyone?
Good morning, Chairperson. No apologies received. Thank you.
Okay. Then I would like to first ask the members to introduce themselves. First, the members of the committee. I'm Thomas Walters. I'm the chair of the committee.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Benedicte van Minnen, and I'm a member of this committee.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Member Boyson, and I'm a member of the committee. Thank you.
Good morning, Chairperson. Good morning, Minister, all members and departmental officials. My name is Wendy Kaiser-Philander, and I'm a member of this committee.
Good morning, members of the committee and the officials, the MEC. My name is Benson Mwensu, well-behaving, loyal and committed member of this committee.
Good morning, Chairperson and committee. I'm Donita Stevens, and I'm a member of this committee.
Perhaps let me also just welcome the chair of the budget committee, a member Peter Johnson, that's attending the meetings because of the important task that he has. So very welcome, member Johnson. I would like to check, are there any alternates or other members that are present that want to participate? I don't see any. I don't see any there. So I would like to give the opportunity to the minister and his officials to just briefly introduce themselves.
Good day, colleagues. My name is Ricardo Mackenzie, Western Cape Minister of Cultural Affairs and Sport. As you can see, I'm deliberate where I am this morning. I'm outside a sports facility here, and I'll speak to it when I start speaking later on. But I'll ask our head of department and the teams to introduce themselves. Thank you.
Good morning, Chairperson. My name is Guy Redman. I'm the head of department for Cultural Affairs and Sport. My colleagues are in the boardroom and they will all introduce themselves one by one. Thank you, Chairperson.
Good morning, Chairperson and members. I am Brenda Rutgers, Chief Financial Officer.
Good morning, Chairperson and members. I'm Carol van Wyk, Chief Director, Cultural Affairs.
Good morning, Chairperson and members. Michael Jansen van Rensburg, Director for Museums and Heritage and CEO for Heritage Western Cape.
Morning, everyone. Jackie Bull from Youth and After School Program.
Good morning, everyone. I'm the Director for Arts, Culture and Language Services.
Good morning, everyone. Sean Lee, Director Strategic and Operational Management Support.
Morning, everyone. Luan Ndamo, Deputy Director Management Accounting.
Morning, everyone. Abu Tutu, Director of Promotion.
Morning, everyone. Kilasande Maduli, Deputy Director Recreation, representing the Director for Sport Development.
Good morning, everyone. Cecilia Sani, Director Library Service.
Good morning, everybody. Dion Burger, Deputy Director in the Office of the Head of Department. Thank you.
Morning, all. I'm Stephanie Thomas from Departmental Planning.
That's all. That's all.
Thank you very much. I need to point out that by this time, I think we all know one another. We're doing introductions for the purposes of the record. I think this is one department that we've seen quite a lot of, and we're going to be seeing quite a lot of in the upcoming month as well. Colleagues, the purpose of the meeting is, as you know, is to deliberate on vote 13 of cultural affairs and sport. The way we're going to be conducting the meeting is I'm going to give an opportunity for the minister and his team to speak to the vote 13 in front of us. We will be going afterwards to a section by section. We will be going through the the vote. And colleagues, we will use the same approach that we used the last time. 5 minutes for members to ask questions, and then we will give an opportunity for follow-ups, 2 to 3 minutes, and we will obviously, if we do well on time, we'll expand the opportunity for further inputs. Keep in mind, we want to cover a lot of territory. We want to make sure that we give a good value to the interaction, but we need to cover it in a particular amount of time that's available to us. Nevertheless, I think this committee has done well in the past, so that should not be a problem. There will be an opportunity for public input. I have not received any requests for public input, but that is there. And yes, afterwards, once we finish with that, the department will be excused. We will then deliberate on the vote and do the necessary. If there's any resolutions or requests for information, we'll be dealing with it at that point. And we will conclude by tabling the vote and getting a committee report out of it. But let's kick off with the department. Minister, over to your team for inputs from your side, introductory remarks from your side. So over to you.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. I hope that you can hear me clearly and see me clearly. Chairperson, thank you for giving us the opportunity as the department to be in front of you this morning to talk about Vote 13 and our budget and our pillars of what we want to achieve. If I can just say, I'm here at the school, and for obvious reason, I'm not showing you the children's faces, but I do want you to get a perspective at the activities taking place there. There's young girls going to play netball soon. On the other side, there's a chess champion starting. And that is part of our goal as ensuring that what we're driving is to obviously keep people active. Participation is one key pillar. We want people to actively engage in sport. Obviously, culture, arts, heritage, and recreation and reading is part of that. Because when individuals thrive, as you can see behind me, communities flourish. Because at this championship today, there's 562 people participating. It's the largest junior chess championship in South Africa and the biggest so far. But more importantly, is the parents that have came to participate. It's the community that we have enabled as the Department of Cultural Affairs and Sport, and people traveling from across the country. I met some parents from Bojanelo in the northwest, some parents from Namakwaland in the Northern Cape, and that is the importance of what sports culture bring together. So the creative, inclusive spaces that we are fostering as a department and creating the pathways for safer, healthier communities through increased access to opportunities, because these young people participating behind me, hopefully they'll represent us one day at the Olympics and obviously at the respective World Cups. But what's driving all of that is the economic inclusion that's part of it. These chess championship has created economic opportunities for people, for the security guards, for example, that I've met, for people who are selling food, etc. And that is what we are enabling as a Department of Cultural Affairs and Sport. But it would not happen without partnership. We're a department that thrive on partnerships from private sector partners to institutions such as UWC. And I really want to thank the team in the department who spearheaded this. I mean, you'll obviously read more in-depth on the report and hear later on about the North League partnership, the Old Mutual partnership, and that is what the officials in the Department of Cultural Affairs has enabled for us to have these wonderful events taking place. And these are not just programs. I mean, we are programs in the department, but it's community that they're fostering. And that's why I wanted to share you and to see what's happening behind it. And I hope you can see there's individuals getting together, sitting around chairs, camping chairs, parents that have traveled across the province to participate in this. So thank you for giving us the opportunity to represent in front of you today. And I want to thank the department for doing all the hard yards. You know, those of us just come and cut the ribbons by the department led by Mr. Guy Redman and the officials in this team. I want to thank them for this incredible work that they've done to bring us to this point. And I will hand over to Mr. Guy Redman, who will take this further. And obviously, we're here in front of you to answer all the hard questions. And we appreciate and value the role the standing committee is playing in showing our blind spot, because there's no perfect person out there. So thank you for your time and your effort. And yeah, looking forward to further engaging with you on this. Thank you. Mr. Redman.
Thank you, Minister, and thank you, Chairperson. The budget that we are tabling today, together with the strat session and the strategic plan and the APP, there are four main highlights on the budget side of things. The department's budget increases over the MTEF by 36.2 million in 25-26, 27.8 million in 26-27, and 29.7 million in 27-28. And one of the main contributors to this increase is the shift of the 26.7 million, 28.1 million, and 29.4 million over the 2025 MTEF from the Western Cape Education Department to the DCAS for the MOD program. And as you know, members, it's an initiative of the Western Cape government that addresses the socio-economic challenges facing children and youth, including poverty, inequality, crime, and limited access to structured extracurricular activities in sports, arts, and culture. The second one is the Year Beyond program received an additional 3 million for the 1,000 Stories initiative, which will be implemented in the library services sector. This funding enables youth placements in libraries across the Western Cape as reading champions, fostering a culture of reading, unlocking imagination, and bridging the literacy gap for children. The third one is the National Conditional Grant for Mass Participation and Sport Development was reduced by 3.2 million for the 25-26 financial year and retained by the Department of Sport, Arts and Culture to support the hosting provinces for the 2025 National School Sport Championships. This mutually agreed approach between all the provinces ensures a seamless competition, providing learners with the opportunity to perform at their best and also giving every province an opportunity to host. And then the fourth one is the Expanded Public Works Program Integrated Grant for Provinces and the Social Sector Expanded Public Works Program Incentive Grant for Provinces were merged into a single grant, now referred to as the Expanded Public Works Program Integrated Grant. This initiative resulted from the conditional grant review reforms effective from 1 April 2025. The department will continue to strengthen its managed network model to ensure impactful service delivery across the Western Cape. And Chairperson, I just want to mention that the APP which we are tabling today is tabled with errata on page 212. There were just a few updates as we went to print before some of the information from National Department could come through. There were delays from the National Department. So Indicator 1.4 had a 25-26 target of 90. It is now 180. And in 26-27, that increases to 200 and 220 in 27-28. And then indicators 1.6 and 1.7, the 25-26 targets have both moved to 12, as well as the 26 and 27 targets have moved to 12. That's all. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Okay, so there's no further additions from any of your team?
Nothing at this stage,
Okay.
Minister. Thank you.
Right, colleagues, what I suggest as in terms of working through the document itself, we have an introductory set of sections, the overview and the review of the current budget, the outlook for the upcoming years. Those are pages 695 to 711. The first section there. I am, as we've established in previous committee meetings, I'm going to assume everyone has interrogated the document, read it. I would like to put the first section, that's the introductory section, pages 695 and 711. I would like to put to the committee for questions. If I can have hands on any questions that members might have for that, the introductory section of the vote 13. If I can have hands. Also, if you can indicate the page number when you ask your questions. Member Kaiser Philander.
Chairperson, thank you very much, Chair. I'm going to shoot based on Minister Mackenzie and HUD's opening remarks and their broad overview in terms of the departmental objectives. Chairperson, I note that there is a reduction in the National Conditional Grant for Mass Participation and Sport Development. Now, Chair, we know, and I'm putting on my Social Development Chairperson hat at the moment, we know what sport means for various communities in the Western Cape. I believe it's a 3.259 million reduction in the National Conditional Grant. And if the Minister or Mr. Redman can perhaps just give an indication to the committee as to what the impact of that decrease and reduction is, Chairperson. Thank you.
Colleagues, any other questions? Member Gwensu?
Thank you very much, Chair. And good morning to the Minister. I think I already greeted him. The first question is on page 96. Regarding the department's budget, the HOD has publicly stated that current funding levels are insufficient to optimally execute its functions and fulfill its mandate. And in previous engagements, you recall that Mr. Guy also expressed the need for a budget exceeding 1 billion rand for the department and its related entities to operate effectively. Given this concern, I would like to hear his views on this year's allocation. What specific funding shortfall perhaps does the department face in this budget cycle? Yes, as he has already highlighted some shifts and so on. And what is the quantified gap between the ideal operational budget and the current allocation, or is he happy? And how does he propose the bridging of this gap to ensure service delivery isn't compromised? That's the first one. The second one is on page 697. We talk about the revitalization of school sport. This is quite crucial. And as a member of this committee, I've been doing quite a number of site work across the province, not only in Cape Town. Given what is being indicated and the talk about the after school sport. But let me talk about this question of the agreement between the envisaged agreement between the Department of Education as well as sport. How far is this agreement? Because it's now more than 8 months since we have been talking about this agreement. And what is the main content of it? And how is it going to address this question, given the crisis of absence or lack thereof of proper sports grounds in working class schools in this instance? Another issue related to page, this whole check was, I want to be guided by your page 701. 701 on under arts program 2, cultural affairs, arts and culture. You know, given what the statement made, you know, in this budget, one therefore for him to believe it would be interested to understand is how are you going to respond to the Nyanga Arts Development Center crisis it faces and the inability for the department to execute the refurbishing of that particular art center. Page 705, you know, one is interested on program 4. What codes are you talking about? As you recall that Western Cape sports still perpetuate the legacy of apartheid, where, for instance, soccer is found in African township whilst rugby is found elsewhere, right? What are the plans to ensure that all sports codes are found across and that they are supported? And finally, on this one, relate to the question of stadiums in working class townships. According to my knowledge and observations, not a single black township in the Western Cape has a stadium. Now, are there any plans to address that question? And again, on page 701, what is the latest update with regards to the site used for initiation in Stellenbosch? And what engagements are taking place with traditional leadership in this instance? Those are the few questions, Chair, I would like to pose to the MEC and his department. Thank you.
Member Stevens.
Yes, good morning, Chair. I've also got a few questions from page 696 regarding sports infrastructure and development. Like many sports facilities in our communities, like your Scottsdene, Citrusdal, Riverview, are in a very poor condition, leading to injuries. What immediate plans does the department have to repair and maintain these facilities? And how will the department ensure equitable funding for school sports programs, particularly in historical disadvantaged schools? And what steps are being taken to improve access sports and recreational activities for women and people with disabilities? That's for now. Thank you, Chair.
Colleagues, any other questions? Okay, then I don't see any other hands. Then just from my side, I notice as a general trend that the percentage increases is, if you look at the largest percentage increases in the budget, it lies essentially with employees, with essentially salaries and employee expenditure. Now, I don't think it's a percentage increase that is out of hand, but nevertheless, if you look at that coupled with the fiscal environment that we're in, coupled with inflation, I would like to raise a concern that we don't want the money that is spent on service delivery, on the coal face, whether it's library services, whether it's sport and recreation, whether it's cultural activities. We don't want that ultimately to become a trend where expenditure seems to be on employees and salaries and the administration, and less money reaches our the people that are the intended beneficiaries of the department. I don't think it's a major concern at this stage, given the environment that we're in, but let me flag that I would like to hear the comments of the department in that regard. And then a second point, which might relate to some of the earlier inputs as well. Part of what will be useful, and I'll take it up under committee recommendations as well. I personally would like to see a set of measurements reaching the committee where we look at sustained participation in sport, or library services or cultural activities, a measurement of sustained participation of more and more people participating and sustained participation, particularly in environments where communities are historically marginalized. Ultimately, to me, the measurement of the success of the department is participation, the number of people that are increasingly included in such programs. At this stage, I would just like to hear the thoughts of the department in this regard. So over to you, Minister, and your department.
Thank you, Chairperson, and thank you, members, for the question. Can I just generally say, obviously, to Member Philander, but it's generally speaking, and it's applicable to all of us. Whenever there's budget cuts in whatever form, it does affect service delivery. But we're very privileged that officials has been working hard to continue to deliver the services as provided by them previously. We are in a very tough economic situation. We don't know what's going to happen this Wednesday, but we're working hard to stop any service lapse or prevent any service lapse to any of our communities. Secondly, if I can just say, one of the big challenges is with regards to facilities and infrastructure in general, but particularly when it comes to sports facilities. I've raised this last week at MINMEC, and I've also asked them with consultation with my HOD that we need to bring SALGA to the MINMEC meetings, because SALGA is the local government responsible oversight body, obviously have better vested interest. We all have vested interest, but they work with municipalities as to how do we fix facilities in municipalities? How do we work together as custodians of sport? And that was widely well received by all my peers around the country. And we hope that the formal resolution can go out, members, so we can have better oversight or working with our municipalities around sports infrastructure in facility. Thirdly, Member Glensu, I think there are facilities in all our communities, not in all communities, sorry, with regards to sports, but we have to do more. I agree wholeheartedly with the sentiment that I think that you wanted to express, and obviously working to upgrade these sports facilities or sports stadiums in our communities. And I will agree with the sentiment as well. Lastly, to my colleague as well, Member Stevens, I know which facility that you're talking about, and we have to work with the City of Cape Town to strengthen our sports facilities in our municipalities. And I do think that a resolution from MINMEC will contribute in holding hands with our municipality to ensure that municipal infrastructure grant is spent speedily, wisely in all our municipalities so that those sports facilities can be maintained and to ensure that we get more Olympians and athletes coming out of those facilities. And then I hand over to the head of department. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. I will start with I think Member Gwen's the question on what we feel about the budget, the allocations that we've received, the overall allocation, and how we're going to deal with any gaps in it, etc. So the budget process that we undertook, the current MTEC, which concluded in January, was quite an extensive one. We were not expecting much this time, given the fiscal situation that the country as well as our province has not been spared from. However, we did get some key areas that we requested funding in. One, in the after-school program was a very important one because it assists us with the youth. We have a managed network model which we have implemented throughout the department, which helps the department to partner with other like-minded organizations, ensures that we are able to do a little bit more than we would do if we were working all in silos. That has been a very huge, has had a huge impact on our bottom line, and we've been able to do much more than we normally have, whether we are in the MOD program, in the after-school program, in the arts and culture programs. If you look at the partners that we've been able to crowd in, which come in with their own resources, has made us to be able to do a little bit more than we would have with just the Western Cape budget. But when asked such a question, I will never say I'm 100% happy. I believe DCAS does still need to be given a little bit more. We are breaking the 1 billion mark in year 3, in the outer year. I would have loved for it to be in this year. And the reason for that is we believe that if more resources are dedicated to DCAS, the pressure on the front-facing public services such as social development and health is reduced significantly. If more children are given opportunities to engage in alternate activities to the ones that they currently engaged in that expose them to social harms, we are able to do a little bit more, and children are able to imagine better futures for themselves. It's proven, it doesn't need any further evidence. All we need to do now is scale the programs that we have. So the MOD program that we are now scaling from 181 to 315 is an important step that we are taking, but we would have loved to cover all no-fee schools with our MOD program, all of them in the Western Cape, but we are not there yet. So if we could get more budget to increase participation and to increase safe spaces, I think we would be onto something. How are we going to address the gaps or make this money go a little bit further? What we do every year is expenditure reviews of our budget, just to see in which areas are we being not efficient. And we've completed one now, and we will study that and see how we can better spend our budget. But there's also certain areas like commodity strategies to see how we can use our SEM process more effectively to get the best value for the various procurement events that we have. We also want to, as much as possible, to do more online engagements. We travel quite a lot because we have to be out there in the communities when we're doing our monitoring, etc. But some of these things can be done online because the travel costs are quite extensive because of the nature of our business. But in certain areas where certain things can be done online, we will try and do that. But the center of it all is what I've just mentioned with the managed network model. And then the other question I wanted to check is the COE one, Chairperson. The CFO will provide more further details just to explain what appears to be a significant increase. She'll be able to explain that, but just to provide context, COE in DCAS only makes up 27% of the budget of DCAS. As much as we are a department driven by human resources, warm bodies, but we are not at the level of Department of Education. Education is sitting at 71%. So 27% is tight for us. We should be having slightly more, but we are comfortable that we have sufficient resources dedicated to the actual work, and it's not unfairly skewed towards COE. But the CFO will explain what that appearance is. I'll now hand over to the team in the boardroom. I have allocated various questions to them, Chair, and they will just take them one by one until we've concluded with the last question. Over to the boardroom.
Thank you, HOD. So we'll start off with school sport. Sunday. Brendan, are you ready to respond to the school sport question?
Yes, thank you, Chair, and good morning to the Chairperson and members. On the school sport question, National has indicated that they are having 3 activities, national events this year. The first one, in fact, starts tomorrow in Bloemfontein, which will be athletics and aquatics. And because of that, they have indicated that each province will have a decrease of 1 million rand in their budget in order to cover the cost of hosting the national events. Chair, the national event, just to give you an idea, Western Cape alone is taking 600 athletes. That's the range of the disciplines of aquatics and athletics to participate in the national championships, and all provinces are taking in the range of 550 to 600 athletes. So it's quite a huge contingent. Over 5,000 athletes at administrators will be in Bloemfontein from the 2nd until the 8th. Similarly, there will be winter games this year, 7 codes, and there will also be summer games that will also have another 7 codes. So all in all, 16 codes. National normally pays for the venues. They also then pay for the lunches and waters. But the effect on us, Chair, is still that the Western Cape will have to use some of the equitable share because due to the distance between Cape Town and Johannesburg, where most of the national events are held, we have to fly, and that means that we have to incur additional expenditure from our equitable share in order to cover that. So it's always a difficulty. In the last 10 years, we've only hosted the National Winter Games on 1 occasion. Most of the events take place in Gauteng or Durban. So there is an effect. It means that we have to each year keep some equitable share aside in order to cover some of those costs. The second question in relation to the codes, we transfer funding to 120 codes within the Western Cape. These codes are across the board. There are 76 codes that are affiliated to SASCOC, and just about all of them are involved in the Western Cape. We have an open application process, and in fact, within our club development program, the majority of clubs are football and rugby. So we are addressing the issues of transformation by making sure that not only within the club development, but also within the transfer to federation space, we also have that. In terms of the stadia, I just want to make one comment because Mr. Thabo Tutu will take that question. Schedule 5A and B of the Constitution of the Republic 1996 sets out that local municipalities are responsible for local facilities. So the questions that's in the main relating to facilities falls within the domain of the local government. But as our minister said, we will be engaging with SALGA, and then there are also things like the USDG grant, the MIG and the COCTA grant, but Mr. Tutu will talk about how many stadia there are in the townships areas. We will engage with the City of Cape Town about the Scots Dean and talk about the repairs and the maintenance of those facilities as well. We do have specific indicators with women and girls and disability, and Mr. Tutu will set out various things that we do, but we have specific indicators in the APP that deals with that as well. Chair, I rest there and hand back to the boardroom. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I will be responding to the Nyanga Arts Development Centre, the question that was asked by Member Kretsu. So basically, with this development centre, the issue there is procurement issues. From the onset of the project, the Department of Cultural Affairs and Sport was stern that it is going to follow an open tender process. We had several meetings with the Department of the Development Centre, Nyanga. I've been there, we've sat with them, so they requested that no, they will open up the procurement measures. So in November, in 2024, last year, there was a tender that opened. Obviously, the Nyanga Arts Development Centre was keen on seeing Tusk Construction, not Tusk, but the other, if I may say, construction company that was working with him in terms of the tender. So there was a tender that went out between July and August last year to consider 2 bids that came in. It was an open bid that was posed. From the outset, the members of the evaluation committee, of which the development centre was part of, represented by Ms. Bovana from NADC, they expressed concerns about the fact that the bids were hard, if not impossible, to compare. since they did not appear to respond to the usual rubrics of a tender. So the discussion was that they consult a lawyer in terms of the infrastructure. So we have then sought on the advice of Dean Abro attorneys to look into the different tenders, and the advice that was given that the particular tender in terms of the invitation to bid were lacking. There were no actual requests for bids or requests for quotations, and they have basically requested the department to reissue the bid. That was then communicated to the Nyanga Arts Development Center, and they have basically expressed their dissatisfaction with it. The process went up to the National Minister of Arts Culture. They have written a letter of concern to the Minister at National. Minister at National have made a pronouncement earlier this year that we will have to follow procurement processes. So currently, Chair and Member, is that we acknowledge the directive from the National Minister and fully support the expectation that we need to follow supply chain management processes and regulations, as this bid is quite in the millions and it will pose a significant risk. So we are at the moment where we will engage the Nyanga Arts Development Center to reinforce the importance of supply chain management and compliance, and provide the necessary guidance to facilitate the alignment, as well as to ensure that we work with them. We've always worked with them in getting the center or the structure, the infrastructure up and ready. So we are at that point. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much, Chair and Member Kensu. I'll be responding to the initiation question. We are working very closely with the Stellenbosch municipality in trying to ensure that we get the necessary support to the initiation forum. So last year, on the 6th of November, member, we had a meeting with the forum as well as the Stellenbosch municipality on site. The site that was of concern, it was the purgatory site that was allocated. So what the municipality therefore agreed on that date, it was that they will provide the area with the boundary. They will also be buying trees for screening to ensure that the site is conducive for the initiation program. They've also indicated the type of trees that they will be purchasing that will be planted in the area as well. They have also agreed to put in what they call midwood trees to cover the area for shade, so that if then the sun is scorching, etc., then the initiative will take cover on that. So all of these was agreed with that initiation forum, but also the municipality agreed that there will be road rehabilitation maintenance on that particular site. Also, they will be installing the entrance gate, and some of these things have already been done on this particular site. They were also going to do the access train to the river on this particular site, and obviously then as speakers will continue to provide the oversight and the support that we always provided to the initiation. So there are two sites with Stellenbosch. It is Kakalta as well as Purgatory site. We are also having a meeting, Member and Chair, on the 10th of April in preparation for the winter season. So I could say that we are really working towards getting and ensuring that the Stellenbosch initiation forum is well supported. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Bauer will respond now to the WCED agreement with the department. Thank you, Dr. Bauer. You may go.
Thank you, CFO and HUD. So on 4 September, the National Departments of DBE and DSAC signed an implementation protocol. The implementation protocol set out 23 areas where the two departments will work together. Interestingly enough, it is not only about sport, but it's also about life orientation and also about arts and culture. So this has now been requested to filter down to the respective provinces. And what we have done is with the WCED, we have a quarterly meeting with them, and we have now started the rollout of this implementation protocol. So the first meeting took place on the 31st of October, and we met with all the 16 priority codes as stated by DSAC. Thereafter, we met all the federations together with the Sport Council on the 29th of November, and then the last meeting with the federations and with WCD and ourselves as DCAS took place on Saturday, the 8th of March at the Western Cape Sports School. The National Department joined the last two meetings, and they also assisted us. We have now drafted a school sports strategy that we are now sharing with the HODs and the two respective ministers, and it is then envisaged that within this quarter and the third quarter that there will be specific leagues in the various codes that will take place. It is taken that these leagues will first start as clusters so that schools that are close together would be able to participate against one another. And as the budget grows for that, it is envisaged that more competitions will take place. There's quite a lot of focus now on the school sport, and it is we've done a review within the department of which are the more popular codes, which codes have registered, and the the Provincial Department of Education has also sent out a circular to the various schools to ask which schools will be participating. So we have started, Chair, on this matter, and during the second quarter after the holidays, some of the schools will start to compete in some of the leagues as well. We hope then that this will assist in what is called the Wednesday school leagues, because that is what we ultimately want to see, that all schools in the Western Cape are participating in the leagues in their areas where they are participating. We will still continue to have trials because the trials will take place during the course of the second quarter, which are for the 7 codes for the winter games, and thereafter in the third quarter it will be the trials and the leagues for those codes that participate in the summer games. We hope that this will then have an equitable look at things. Both WCED is also assisting DCAS in the purchasing of equipment so that schools will be able to benefit, and we have purchased equipment to the value of 10 million rand in the last quarter to allow for schools to participate in school leagues. Chair, those are my responses to the schools, and I'm going to hand back to you and Mr. Tutu for the stadium and women and girls and disability question. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. Let me first respond on the women and girls. Firstly, I'd like to point out that as a department, we are enablers and facilitators, and we do not implement. People that implement are sport federations, and in that case, we work with the Western Cape Provincial Sport Council Confederation to drive women and sport initiatives, and also sport federations engage with the department in terms of delivery of these women and girls initiatives. Similarly to disability sport, we work with this work, and in delivering the disability sport in the Western Cape. In fact, recently on the 14th and 15th of March this year, we supported the OCC wheelchair race that was held in George. It's part of our contribution that we make around disability sport. Then in terms of stadia, I think, Chair, I want to believe that we've got the first spread of stadia in the different communities in the Western Cape. And remember, that is not our core business, that falls within the ambit of the municipalities. And the municipalities have an ID process where communities need to form part of. And local municipalities have an opportunity to apply to our department for a small funding that we have of about 2 million rand, and that contributes towards the upgrading and building of facilities. And then there's another revenue
stream that municipalities can apply for, which is COCTA and the DSEC direct funding for municipalities, where we play a role as a sector department, and that is made available also to municipalities to apply for. And once a facility has been completed through the fundings that I just mentioned, it is then handed over to the municipality to look at it for maintenance. A case in point, Chair, on Saturday, this past Saturday, we handed over a facility in Clava, Matsikana, which was handed over to the municipality. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tutu. Chairperson, I will respond now to the percentage increases related to compensation of employees. So let me start out just to confirm that year on year, there were no headcount increases. So what we budgeted for in terms of our baseline and headcounts, that remained the same. So the salary increases consist only of cost of living adjustments. In fact, initially in our baseline allocation, we made provision only for 4.5% increase, Chairperson, but just before we concluded the budget process, I think it was in February when they concluded the negotiations on the salary or the wage increases, we were then requested to add the additional 1%. Therefore, we are making provision for 5.5% cost of living adjustments. And then it also includes the cost for our current vacant funded posts. So that basically makes up the 8.79% increase. Thank you.
Chair, just the last one from you on the sustained participation. You are correct. One of the key areas for DCAS is increased participation, and the other outcome is increase in safe spaces. And the bulk of our key indicators are sitting in those spaces. And the number of women capacitated or empowered to deliver sports, the number of participants supported to participate in various games. But a key one, number of children participating regularly and consistently in after-school sport. It's particularly worded in that way because if you come once, we don't count you. But there's a particular expectation that if you come X number of days per week, you fall into the count. So we are ensuring that it is quality participation that we are counting. Thank you very much, Chair.
All right, was that the last input?
I think that is the last one. We've covered all the, unless members have got follow-ups, Chair. I think we've attempted to cover all of them.
Follow-up questions, colleagues? Mclenson? I think your microphone is, you're on mute.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. Instead of unmuting the microphone, I unmuted the video. No, I omitted this one. Page 704. An important statement is made on program 2. I think the first sentence about what is described as cross-generational dialogue and lasting engagement. I think that one is quite important, and I would recommend the department to also engage entities such as Heritage Education and Research Project. Is based in Gugulethu, and they are doing some work in Langa. Here are the follow-ups. Chair, on this question of sport grounds being at the competence or leadership or management of municipalities, suggest in some degree that there is no responsible relationship between the provincial government and the, in particular DCAS on the question of sport to ensure that at least there is some service level plan or agreement to ensure that at least sports is able to flourish in the province. That's a concern, unless the department clarifies me. What the department could not respond to, and clearly, is on the envisage, the basic tenets of the envisage agreement between DCAS and the Department of Basic Education in the province. You know, they could not respond to that one, unfortunately. I hear you, Dr. Carroll, but and of course, procurement processes should be followed and so on. Even the board, Nyanga, is committed to that. But why is this taking more than 2 years? And that for me is a problem. And maybe you are going to attend to it. Another issue relates to the initiation season, and I'm happy with the statement made to say that the department is currently preparing for the winter season. Are there any plans in your preparation, or have you considered your preparation the whole new crisis of the creeping in of criminal syndicates in the form of extortion in the sector? Yes, I know this is a criminal matter that belongs to SAPS, but from your end, are there any possible plans to ensure that initiation season and processes are not disrupted by the criminal network, and that society is mobilized in this instance? I did not get the response on the question of a stadium or plans of a plan about a stadium in working class townships in this instance. I don't recall getting a proper response on that particular aspect. Thank you very much, Chair.
I can hand it back to the department to respond, and then we'll be moving on to the programs. Over to the department.
All right, thank you, Chair. The team will take some of the questions. Just to clarify, there's definitely a link between DCAS and municipalities and facilities. We work very closely with municipalities. Every year, we have a funding call to municipalities for facilities upgrade. But the development of facilities is not a mandate for DCAS, or DCAS is not in a position to secure funding for development of facilities in municipalities. Municipalities have that mandate, and they are the ones who build those facilities, and DCAS in some cases tops up. So we did that very well with the Netball World Cup, where we built over 40 facilities. Some were upgrades, some were built from the ground, but the leaders were the municipalities bringing their own budgets and DCAS contributing to. DCAS's budget, I mean, it's only 1% of the Western Cape government budget. If you look at the infrastructure backlog for recreational facilities, the kind of infrastructure we would like to see in municipalities, there's no way we could cover that within the DCAS budget. We will also have a mandate issue in trying to motivate to the province for us to build those from scratch, rather than having the municipalities work with us as they do. So there's a very good working relationship with the municipalities. It needs to be strengthened. And at a national level, we need SALGA to be involved, because some municipalities are not fulfilling their responsibilities on the side of maintenance. And this is a countrywide phenomenon. Although to a lesser extent in the Western Cape, but it's a countrywide phenomenon where municipalities are not prioritizing maintenance of recreational facilities, and it concerns us quite a lot. But we are working very well with the municipalities. We will get in touch with Heritage Education and Research, which is based in Langa. Any plans to the syndicate? We are very concerned about this growth in syndicates of extortionists, and it has now reached initiation. The way the initiation system works is we are part of a provincial initiation coordination committee, which in it includes community safety and SAPS. We work together with the law enforcement bodies and we craft plans and mobilizations together within that structure, which is legally mandated to coordinate initiation within the Western Cape. Over and above that, through the initiation forums that we meet with on a regular basis together with the executive structure, we are also trying to address that, to communicate to communities that some of the risks associated with it and how the initiation forums together with DCAS and law enforcement can assist in mitigating. So it's something that we are looking at and we are leading as DCAS, but the main leaders, since it is a criminal activity, is the SAPS, and they are seized with this. In terms of stadiums, I think that one is partially covered in my initial response, but Mr. Tutu can elaborate further in how many stadia do we have in some of our poorer communities, and if there are any future plans for such that he is aware of by municipalities. And then I'll ask Carol to just quickly cover why were the delays on the Nyanga project as well. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, HOD. Thank you, Chair. Just why the delays on the Nyanga project? As I've mentioned, member, before, there's been if I may say, it's almost like a dance move between Nyanga Development Agency and us in terms of getting them on board to agree with the department that it has to be an open tender. That's one. Secondly, following that, there was also a dance between Nyanga Development Arts Center and the department in terms of which specialized architect needs to be appointed to do the specifications for the tender. The meeting considered that Nyanga Arts Development Center proposes a person. They did propose a person, however, the person has been out of the country for more than 3 months or so. So that was the waiting. Following the person coming on board, the person did the specifications went out. When the tenders or the bids came in, it was found that there were gaps in the information that came from it. The department then appointed a legal expert to look into the bid specification, and then it was decided that we cannot go on with the bid. That was communicated to Nyanga. They were in the meeting, and they've then subsequently written to the national minister, of which the national minister have pronounced that we need to follow the agreement or the output of the legal recommendation, and that is where we are now, member. And as I've mentioned, we will move forward on implementing the tender according to specifications of the PFMA. And that is one thing that I have personally told Nyanga, that we cannot flout PFMA standards or SEM standards. So we have secured the funding, is still there to move forward with the project. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, member.
Okay, thank you, Chair. In terms of the stadia, I think we can provide the committee with the list by the end of this week of all stadia that are in communities, because we don't have it open now. Thank you.
Okay, those are the responses. I believe that last question we must also at the end of the meeting formulate as a request for information by the committee. So we'll pick that up again.
Can I just intervene there, Chair? I think Dr. Carol...
Just hang on. Member Gwenso, I'm going to give you the opportunity to do a follow-up here. Just keep in mind that we have to focus on the vote 13. So there is the temptation, also the temptation from our own side to pursue particular issues. We can follow that up at the end of the meeting in the committee in terms of recommendations and requests for information. But please go ahead, and then we're going to go to the next section.
No, I think Dr. Carol did not get my follow-up question, and thus she repeated herself when she was responding. My concern was around the duration of the delay and also the inability of the department to be able to communicate or share with us the timelines to ensure that to take us through about the start of the project and the timelines thereof. That was my area of interest on my follow-up. Thanks.
So it's more of a project management question. What are the timelines, and are there timelines? And I think there's clarity being sought in terms of when what is going to be happening. So over to the department, and then we'll go to the next section.
Okay.
Oh, thank you, Chair. We can provide certainly with the project plan as to when the project has started, as well as with the reports in terms of how the project have throughout its life cycle have progressed up to the state where we are now. Also noting that this is a national project and we are supporting nationally in executing the project. So there are two spheres of reporting, which is province as well as national as well, and we can provide you with that information, a member. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, so we'll pick that up under requests for information at the end of the meeting. Colleagues, then if we can move to the next section, we're moving now to the programs itself. We have from page 711 to 714, we have under the administration program, we have a section there. I'm going to open to the committee for questions. So it's pages 711 to 714. Member Glensu, is that an old hand or a new hand?
It's definitely a legacy hand. It's a
legacy hand.
Yeah.
I don't see any hands gone. If we can go to the next section or the next program, cultural affairs, 714, pages 714 to page 717. Any questions there? Can I get hands? I do not see any hands. Then we're going to the next section. You have a hand?
Sorry. Yeah,
I was surprised there for a moment. Member Glensu?
I think I must firstly register this to this committee that I'm not using my usual gadget, so that is why I'll delay and take time to get back to. I'm not used to this gadget I'm using. Okay. Here is my question, page 16, 9.2.1. It's a summary about payments and estimates by economic classification, program 2. A brief question, what are the reasons for, what is described as a decrease in transfers to the departmental agencies and accounts? Thanks, Chair.
Colleagues, I don't see any other hands. Over to the department.
Thank you, Chairperson, for the question. So the main reason for the decrease for departmental agencies, so that is where we pay our public entities, is because of the fact that in the current financial year, we allocated additional funding to the Western Cape Cultural Commission for the installation of solar panels. So therefore, you will see that the net decrease year on year is 56.03. But when you look at the main appropriation, they were initially allocated with 1.6 million. That then increased to 4.7 million because of the additional funding. And for the new financial year, 25-26, it reverts back to the original allocations with a slight increase for HWC. Thank you, Chairperson.
Member Glensu stole my thunder. I was going to ask that exact same question. Colleagues, any other questions? Right, let's go to the next program. Library and Archives, pages 717 to 720. Any questions on that section? Member Glensu, and I don't see any other hands. Over to you.
Yeah, thank you very much. The challenge for members who are coming from the ruling party is that they less prepare, because engaging, they may be seen as being oppositionist now and working with the opposition. As an opposition, you spend time to prepare, to engage, and to hold the executive accountable. Here's my question. Page 719, 9.3, the summary of payments and estimates, program 3. What are the reasons, Chair, for the decrease in funding of library services? And secondly, regarding the 8.9 million allocated to broadband library connectivity and library service broadband top-up, how will the department prioritize connecting rural libraries that currently have no internet access in this instance? And how many libraries are projected to be connected in this financial year? Thank you very much, Chair. I may keep my mic unmuted because I might be the only one.
Thank you. Thank you, member. In fact, I'm going to now speak before you because you're stealing my question. No, I'm joking. It's very good questions. Over to the department. If you, Member Boyson. Sorry, before we go to the department, Member Boyson.
Is provoked.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, mine is not a question, it's just a comment based on the comment made by Member Glensu. Chairperson, when we don't ask questions, it's not because of a lack of preparation, it's because that we are covered. Thank you.
Member Boyson, we're not going to debate who's best prepared. We can do that by sitting next to one another and comparing the notes that we've made in the document, and then we'll declare a winner, maybe over coffee. Over to the department.
Thank you, Chairperson. So the reason for the decrease is because in the current financial year, we received rollovers from municipalities that could not spend their funds. And the main reason for them not being able to spend their funds is because of the vacancies. So the rule is then for them to reimburse the department because they cannot use COE funding for anything else. So Chairperson, if you'll see in the main appropriation, they had 398 million compared to the allocation for the 25-26 financial year of 401. So effectively, year on year, there is an increase in the baseline allocation for library services. Thank you. I'll hand over to Cecilia now that will respond to the number of sites connected. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, members, and thank you for the question. Yes, we do prioritize rural libraries with our rural library connectivity project. We're planning to connect 3 libraries this year, the next financial year. It's very dependent with our work with the municipalities. So, for example, we're opening a new library, Vlieland. We were hoping to have it connected this year, but the site is not ready. The infrastructure is not yet laid. But we work hand in hand with the municipalities. We are supporting, with regard metro and rural, about 89% of our libraries are connected to the internet. Those libraries that are not connected to the internet are mostly issues of the infrastructure is not available in those small towns, so we're working on that. Or there's not enough space for computers or security for computers, so the libraries need to expand before we can put computers in. And then some library service points we have in our correctional services, and those we cannot give internet access to, so we'll never be 100%. but it's one of our priorities to connect our rural libraries to the internet. Thank you.
My colleagues, any follow-up questions? I do not see hands. Colleagues, then we go to the last program, Sport and Recreation, pages 721 to 724. Any hands there? I do not see any hands. I think some of the questions were covered in the first section. Colleagues, then we move to the next section, the additional information from pages 724 to 744. Any questions there? Again, I do not see any hands. Right. The document. Let me just check with the procedural officer. Are there any members of the public present who want to make an input?
There has been no previous indication that members of the public would attend the chairperson. So to the best of my knowledge, no, but I would advise that you just check in any case. Thank you.
I do not see anyone online. Look, I generally take the rule you need to indicate beforehand, but given that we're doing well on time, I thought let's check that as well. Right, colleagues, I think we can excuse the Minister and the department. Thank you very much for your engagement, I think you know we have quite a passionate committee here, and we feel very strongly about a number of things here. And thank you very much for your comprehensive responses. The committee will now deliberate and discuss. So thank you very much to the department.
Thank you very much, colleague, and thank you for your time. And thank you to my HOD and the department and the officials for the hard work. And yeah, wishing you well in your further deliberations.
Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you, members. Goodbye.
Bye. Colleagues, the next section that we're going to deal with that I would like to get out of the way, over and above the vote 13 discussion, and we'll get to that, the formal processes there. Some discussion took place apart from the vote budget, the vote on the budget item. Are there any requests for information or recommendations that anyone in the committee would like to propose? Now, there was a specific request, just to remind all of us, Member Gwensu, you must just, if I don't get the formulation right, you must just assist here. But we discussed around the younger project that we get feedback in terms of the project's progression, as well as the timelines, that we would like to get information in that regard. That's an item that came up. I also believe to get feedback on the initiation site in Stellenbosch came up. So that's requests for information. And then I have from my side, I said in the beginning of the discussion, I would like to recommend to the department that we have outcomes-based reporting as part of the report packs that we get, particularly in terms of sustained area by area, sustained participation in sport and recreation, cultural activities, as well as libraries, that we can have a sense of the impact that the department is having, understanding the constraints that they do have. But I believe that we need to have a component of reporting that comes in that tells us about impact that we can compare year to year. At the end of the day, what we want is every child or the various target groups that the department is servicing, that we have a sense of what the data is in terms of progression. I also believe that, and that might be a second point to take up as a recommendation, If we have reliable data in that regard, it speaks to the data that we have in the health department. It speaks to the data that we have in the social development department, as well as the education department, and it should assist transversal government and maximum use of resources. So that's from my side. Member Glensu. No, hang on. It was actually Member Stevens that had a hand up first. Member Stevens and then Member Glensu. Member Stevens.
Thank you, Chair. My recommendation is just what will the department do to get national on board to help and assist with the issues of local municipalities that's not coming on board, especially in certain areas? Chair, thank you.
Okay, if we can formulate that as a request for information. Member Glensu.
Thank you very much, Chair. I assume that the department has already left, no?
Yes, we are now deliberating as a committee.
Yeah, okay. No, there is something that disrupted my network, and so I mean, I could not be able to attend to some of the questions I prepared, you know. No, I think you have already covered one important aspect of my resolution about the question, the issue of Nyanga East, you know, which I think for me is quite critical. And the second one relate to the question of the envisaged agreement between DCAS and the Department of Education on the question of school sport and after school sport. You know, given the current state of sports grounds in working class townships in this, or schools in this instance, you know. So those for me are crucial matters. And I think also we should attend to the question of sports ground in general, as the department continues to not to deflect, maybe that's stating a fact, it's a fact by the way, right, that they're the competence of the municipalities, but it has to be attended to ensure that sporting facilities are upgraded and supported, and that, I mean, as a basis to ensure that our youth is able to, I mean, to play and participate in the sport fraternity or sport economy. Thank you very much.
Member Glenn, I'm going to take a stab at formulating, but I don't want your original content to get lost, but just I'm going to take a stab at formulating it. If we can get, as a request for information, we would like to get feedback on in terms of the agreement between the education department and the cultural and affairs and sport, the departments, in terms of school sport. What is the nature of that agreement, and how does it speak to expanding sport, particularly to historically disadvantaged communities? And then secondly, I believe it would be an interesting question and interesting feedback if we can also, as part of your request for information there, ask for information in terms of whether maintenance and support for sport facilities are included on the municipal side of the agreement. In other words, is there an obligation on their side in terms of agreements where the provincial department is involved to also invest in terms of their budget in maintenance of such facilities? I think that would be, I would also, I'll call it, add to your proposal. I had another hand. Was it Member Boyson?
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, just for the sake of progress, the recommendations made by yourself, Member Nentsu, and Member Stevens, that would form part of the minutes. It won't form part of this report. So for the sake of this report, Chairperson, I would then propose that we adopt the vote as tabled by yourself, and deliberated by all of us for adoption. Thank you.
Yeah, Member Boyson, we're just concluding outside of the vote itself. We're just concluding the any recommendations or requests for information by the committee. But colleagues, on that note, I would like to table the vote 13 to the committee. Can I have proposers for this proposal of support? I see Member Kaiser Philander.
Thank you very much, Chair. I was covered by Member Boyson in terms of outside of the report. Chair, therefore, I want to second the recommendation made by Member Boyson in terms of support for the vote on behalf of the Democratic Alliance. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, let's go party by party. Any members that are not in support in terms of Rule 90 of of vote 13? Member Glensu.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. As the ANC in the provincial legislature, constitutive of course leading his alliance partner, the AC's Ben COSATU, would like to explore Rule 90, not because you did not agree in the GNU, but because of what is contained in the budget. We reject the budget.
Any other members or any other parties that want to exercise Rule 90? I don't see any other hands. Can I ask the procedural officer? So just to summarize, the committee supports the vote 13 with the ANC using Rule 90 to indicate its non-support of vote 13. Right, so colleagues, that is what the decision is. Now for the committee report on the decision. If I can ask the procedural officer, if we need to give you a bit of time, that's fine. If you can just flight the committee report, that we can just see that it reflects the decision properly.
There we go, Chairperson.
Right, procedural officer.
No, I just wanted to confirm, Chairperson, that it has been flighted. You may now go ahead and read it into record.
Let me read it into the record. The committee report. Report of the Standing Committee on Police Oversight, Community Safety, Cultural Affairs and Sport on Vote 13, Cultural Affairs and Sport, in the schedule to the Western Cape Appropriation Bill, dated 31 March 2025, as follows. The Standing Committee on Police Oversight, Community Safety, Cultural Affairs and Sport, having considered Vote 13, Cultural Affairs and Sport in the schedule to the Western Cape Appropriation Bill B2 2025, referred to it in accordance with Standing Rule 188, reports that it supports the vote. In accordance with Standing Rule 90, the African National Congress expressed its minority view to not support the vote. Colleagues, can we accept the report? I have proposers. Member Philander, it's proposers, and
Member Boyson.
Well, Member Van Minnen had a hand up first, so it's right. Member Van Minnen that seconds it. It's thirded by Member Boyson. Colleagues, then we've concluded our business. Maybe I should have said it in the beginning of the meeting. A normal procedural officer member, Mr. Matthews, he's not available today for religious reasons. So we also send our best wishes to him. Any other outstanding minutes as a result we'll deal with in the subsequent meetings. So we are finished with our meeting, and I am hereby concluding the meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you,
All
Chair.
right, thank you very much.